Good evening, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. This is the February 20th, 2025 Environmental Conservation Board meeting. Thank you for coming out in the snow. Hopefully it's not so bad over the next hour as we go through our agenda this evening. We'll start right off with item number 1 on the list, MK Realty, Route 6 and Old Route 6, Tax Map 55.6-1-44 and 45. This is for the extension of a wetland permit. If you wouldn't mind coming up, stating your name, who you're here to represent.
Adam Thyberg from Insight Engineering Surveying Landscape Architecture PC, representing the owner, MK Realty.
Good evening. So why don't you go ahead and take us through what you're here tonight for?
So we're just looking to extend the wetland permit that was issued on the project initially. There was a point where the wetland permit was tied to the extension and regrants of the site plan approval. We were recently at the planning board for the regrant of the site plan. There was some question given the up-in-the-air nature of the potentially forthcoming new zoning. They wanted to take a look at how, from a zoning perspective, the approved project would fit in with the new zoning. So they granted a 90-day regrant instead of the typical year. So after that meeting, we took a look at the proposed zoning, and in all cases, I think maybe except with one case, it's actually less restrictive. So we assume that we'll get a further extension after the 90 days are up if needed. All other outside permits have been kept up to date, and again, we're here to seek the extension of the wetland permit.
Got it. You were before us last March 2nd, 2023, is that right?
That sounds correct, yeah.
All right. You weren't here at all in 2024, is that right?
There are two, I think it's, yeah, it's been running with the regrants on the site plan, so I believe it would be every 2 years.
All right. Has anything changed on the plans since you were last before us?
Nope, no change to the plan, no change to the site, nothing has happened there. Everything is as it was when the project was first approved.
All right. Wetland flags, when were they last refreshed?
They have not been refreshed. There was some discussion about that at the last meeting. There is a water course that comes through the site. There is no wetland that's ever been flagged on the site. We realized that, and then we spoke. I think we had a back and forth through Rose with the chairman, and it was just determined just to confirm that everything is the same on the site as it was, and that is the case.
Can you just refresh the board's understanding of the nature of the project itself?
Yep.
If you want to take a look at this, but I don't know if you recall what this was.
So it was originally approved. This is the corner of Route 6 and Old Route 6. You've got a driveway that comes off of Old Route 6, runs along the eastern side of the property, loops around on a one-way around the proposed building, which has been proposed as a bank building, associated parking, landscaping, and all the associated utility connections, sewer, water, and stormwater.
Okay. I got you here. Reflagging. So in March 2nd, 2023, we asked for, you asked for a 1-year extension at that time. We granted it till March 15th of 2023. March 14th of 2025. So you are here before the expiration, is that right?
That's right, yep.
And we made notes about adding wetlands markers every 100 feet.
Right, again, there's no wetland, just the water course.
Along the water course. I think what we asked was near the bushes, if I'm not mistaken, right around the right side of the property. Can you point out where the water course is?
The water course is here, so there's just
Yeah.
there's just a piece of it that actually touches the property itself.
Mm-hmm.
The edge of the water course is the edge of the water course. We can flag it if needed, but it's pretty evident.
No, not for flagging. This was wetland markers. So this was the Town of Environmental Conservation Board markers that you can get upstairs to indicate that there is a water course here and it's a protected area.
So we should set those a certain number of feet off of there?
So I had in our notes, and I can look back at the actual meeting minutes here. Proposed buildings, a light, there is right here, wetland markers along this side of the property every 100 feet. It doesn't indicate what side of the property, but update the map or provide a letter to the file indicating that you would do this.
Which we
Since
did.
it was approved by the planning board. All right, so that's still in place. You still need to put up those wetland markers every 100 feet. I don't have the exact, I mean, we can look through the file here, but I don't have the exact location, but if you wrote here it is. Add town of Carmel wetland markers along the northeast corner of the property from 57 Brewster Avenue to Old Route 6 every 100 feet, total of 4.
Okay.
Still good on that, okay. Copy of approved applications, I believe I saw those in the file, and then reflagging. I just want to see what we had in the notes about reflagging. The site is reflagged, is the notes.
Yeah, the site wouldn't have been,
You got me? You got it.
yeah, the site was not reflagged because again, it's just the water course. There's no associated wetland that was flagged.
Well, that's true.
So at the time, I believe I had a back and forth with Mr. Laga, who just said, go take a look, make sure nothing's changed, and that was really the end of it. We had that back and forth
Got
through
it.
Rose, I guess it was last year, yeah.
Okay. No work's been done on the property, you said, correct?
Nothing's been done, no.
Let me just make one more note, more check in here to see if there was anything about extensions, the number of extensions we were giving on this thing, on this specific one. Permits in the file, 2 years. So we did give you a 2-year extension. How long are you asking for?
We would ask for another 2 years if that's doable. Again, we were, before the planning board did issue the 90-day re-grant only because of this question about the proposed zoning. Again, we clearly meet anything that's in the proposed zoning, so we fully expect that, you know, there's a good chance that that will be extended going forward.
2016.
And for the last few years, this permit has run concurrent with the approval on the site plan.
Yeah, I see that. This originally came before us in 2011, correct? That's what I'm looking at, the original permit. It says, date of the original permit granted July 7th, 2011.
That sounds correct, yeah. The applicant's been seeking a potential buyer for the property, has had a few opportunities, but has not closed a deal to sell the property to, you know, a potential developer.
All right, so we don't generally extend permits for over 10 years. This is now going on since the original grant date of July 7th, 2011. We're upwards of, like, what, 13, 14 years here, going on the same permit. How does the board feel about this?
Well, nothing's happened.
True, nothing's changed on the site so far as our understanding. 2 years ago when we had this done, it doesn't look like we asked for a site visit to see the current site conditions, to see if anything's changed since 2011, although we did extend it several times, and it does appear that, that's a sheet, all right.
And we'd be perfectly happy to have the board come and do a site walk if you think that's appropriate.
Just need to review it when they're ready to do some work.
Yeah. Well, if we grant the permit and they do it in the next 2 years, then there's no re-review, except for the the wetlands inspector going
We
out
can
pre.
make that as part of the extension.
Review site conditions to see
Yeah,
what was existing.
before anything's actually physically being
That's true.
done.
How do you feel about that?
I agree with,
Ed, all right. I'm fine with that. I think that's a good condition. How long, do you guys want to do 2 years, 1 year? What do you think, until it's re-reviewed?
Do you really need 2 years?
I think we would take as much time as the board would be comfortable granting. We've,
Yeah.
Should I add a note in here that if they need to do another, I mean, it's a small stream, it'd be a little different story if there was a full wetland in there,
Yeah.
that with moving boundaries. Generally speaking, streams don't change that often.
yeah, as you can see, it's just this little bit here that clips the
Yeah.
site, just on that far edge.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we want to put a condition in about if they need another extension, they'll have to resubmit the application, or do we leave that?
A review, I would say review, and if we wanted to do another application, but I don't see any reason at this stage.
Okay,
Yeah, so just we want to review it before actual work is done.
very well. I'm fine with that. All right, so do you have any other
Not getting
conditions?
any younger.
All right, let me just make a quick note about the conditions then.
There's everybody else.
Land inspector, site visit, to determine existing site condition consistent with plans. Okay, and then, I'll make a note like Bob usually does about a review if they need a second one. So this would be an extension from 2020. Jeez Louise, where is it?
Today's the 20th.
March, 2 years, so to March 14th, 2025.
27.
So 27. It would be from this evening?
No,
or
the 19th?
February
I think this one was good through March, it was like March 11th or something like that, so I would assume it would be 2 years from then, but
14th. March 14th.
mhm.
I'm fine with that. Fine.
Okay.
So let's go with March
That's fine.
14th, 25, 27. All right, with that, do I have a motion to extend the wetland permit number 844? This is for MK Realty Route 6 and Old Route 6, from extending it for 2 years to March 14th, 2027, with the following additional condition, that there be a wetland inspector site visit to determine the existing site conditions are consistent with the plans prior to the start of work in conjunction with the start of work. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
you're good. You could pick up the revised, well, you could pick up the revised one or just let Rose know and talk to her on Monday or Tuesday.
Will do, thank you.
No problem. All right, this is, I don't even know where to sign this thing. I guess I'll put it there here. 21. I don't see a 20. There's a 23. There's a 23. I'll put it at the very bottom. Today is 2/20/25. Extend to March 3/14/27. Wetland inspector. Have a good
Have a
night.
good night.
A permit expire and hours of wetland inspector. Site visit. Conditional. Okay. I'm fine. It's the only one in blue, so hopefully it won't be too difficult here. All right, let's move along. We're gonna move over to submission of submission of applications, letter of permissions. Item number 2, Jonathan Marino, 118 Lake Drive, tax map 65.15-1-17. This is for construction of a 50 by 4 foot walkway, if you wouldn't mind coming up. Stating your name and who you're here to represent.
Yeah, Jonathan Marino. I'm representing myself and my wife, the current owners of 118 Lake Drive.
Good evening, if you wouldn't mind taking us through what you're looking to do.
Yeah, so there is a rather precarious part of our property from the backyard down to the lake that we are just trying to traverse a little bit more safely. There is a existing stone wall that I think pictures have been provided for that has made it quite unsafe to kind of just traverse this one section of the property. So we would just like to build just a walkway to kind of get over this wall and a little bit closer to the water. However, by the time we're done with the walkway, we will be within the 100 feet, probably within 20 or 30 feet into that 100 feet, and that's why we're here. I've laid out plans to make sure that, any concrete mixing that's going to be done will be outside that zone. We'll have a silt fence, and everything is going to be done by hand.
What's the walkway gonna be made out of?
We're thinking just typical composite boards for the walkway itself, wood handrails, and pressure-treated posts for the foundation.
So the composite boards you're putting on, like the size of what, 2x6s or?
So I apologize, I didn't draw this out, but we're still kind of winging it, but.
Grab the mic with you.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, we're just thinking like just a walkway probably about 4 feet wide. Those will be the composite slats that will go down the length.
How are you gonna anchor them into the ground?
So the anchoring to the ground will be the posts that will be drilled, well, not drilled, but put into the ground with concrete support.
So that, the posts will, is this gonna be an elevated?
So we
walkway?
have to, so the way that the property is, as you go down the slope of the property, there is, at one point in time, what was a rock wall, and that rock wall is now crumbling. So we just want to get over that and then go down another 20, 30 feet. So it will be elevated to go over that and then continue down.
You're not gonna remove the rock wall?
No, we were intending just to go over the rock wall.
Got it. And I mean, that's this is the rock wall in the picture that's.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
So the posts that you're putting in, how many feet are you gonna be doing it? It seems like, I'm trying to picture in my mind here, are you putting a post for every board that you're putting in?
No, it should probably be every 10 feet or so. I didn't bring my, my contractor with me, but we're thinking 2 posts every 10 feet or so, then we're running, a length of board attached to those posts. It's like building a small deck.
So like 2x6s or 2x4s or 2x6s or 4x4s as the sides,
Yep.
and then you're putting panels down. So you're building like a deck.
It's basically just a small deck.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly right. And again, this is just to traverse a very kind of like unsafe area of the property,
Got it.
just to get down to the water.
Do you know about how far? I'm trying to see on here. I don't see a scale. One of the things that we will need is an understanding of how much of this is going to be within the 100-foot buffer, 100 feet from the lakefront.
Right.
Do you know roughly how much that is going to be?
So the rock wall seems to be about 100 feet, almost exactly, and we're probably going to be about 30 feet past that.
Okay.
So we're going to start 10 to 20 feet before the rock wall, go over the rock wall, and then probably 20, 30 feet towards the lake.
All right, so we're talking about 40 feet by 4 feet, so roughly 160 square feet.
Yeah, we had put 200 just to be on the safer side.
Okay. All right. So I believe you were asking for a letter of permission. Unfortunately, I do think that this is, oh, maybe not. Were you asking for a permit or a letter of permission? I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago when I spoke with Rich, he's the one that sat me down and we went through this, and he basically explained to me that this would most likely be a letter of permission, so he walked me through the process of doing that. And then I luckily, Rose kind of walked me through a little bit more exactly what I should do. And so that's what I'm here asking for.
Because of the concrete foundation, footings that are gonna need to go in, how are you putting those in? Hand mixing, and then you're putting in, sonotubes or something?
No, so we were gonna hand mix, again, away from the 100-foot, zone, wheelbarrow down.
Yep.
And then a couple of feet of concrete, and then the posts.
I'm thinking this probably needs to be a full application because of the non-temporary nature of a lot of this, the extent of having to put in actual railings.
It's
needs to meet
permanent,
up
it's
to
a
code.
permanent, yeah.
What do you think?
Don't know.
It's small, and we've kind of gone
It is
back and
small,
forth before
yeah.
as a board on whether or not even like small prefab sheds. We've kind of gone back and forth saying that if you're pouring a footing, it ends up becoming a bit of a bigger project and does require a full application versus plopping it down on just gravel, which might be a lot less.
I mean,
Depends where you are,
we're
too.
willing to make, minor change. Again, this is all just for safety. If there are other easier ways to kind of get over this rock wall, we're willing to do that as well.
You're not building this in the winter right now, are you? Anyways, are you? Were you planning on putting it in the, like, in the next?
spring.
I would say by the time the summer rolls around, we'd like to have it done.
Sure.
My wife is 34 weeks pregnant, and our baby's on the way, and so we just want something that's just like really safe
Yeah.
for us to get down to the water. So
Oh, sounds like a
again,
great project. I think it would be, it sounds fantastic. I just want to make sure we're doing this right, and also,
sure.
if we need to go through the full application, it's a matter of a extra couple of weeks during the winter right now of making sure that it, like, weeks as in time to properly, for the town to properly notice that this is happening, and then
Okay.
for you to come back and pick it up next time.
Listen, we want to do what's right. That's why we're here.
You fine with that? What do
As
you
a
think?
letter of permission, this is new construction. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist, it's not maintenance,
Right.
so it's a
I guess the
little
way that
beyond
Rich had presented it to me was that it would be fixing an existing structure. Because there was an existing walkway and rock, again, this is what he told
No,
me.
it's just-
So he wanted to give me the right,
What?
There's no walkway here. Is there a map that shows that there was a walkway there at one point? Like,
Yeah.
was it flagstone or something? What
there
would they
there
have?
actually is a survey somewhere, I believe, on file that said that there was some sort of walk thing.
There's nothing there. Are you taking down any trees for this?
No.
I'm a little incredulous about there being a walkway there, considering that the rock wall doesn't look like it has any gaps in it either.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
One
I
of the pictures kind of shows the way that the rocks were set up to be a walkway. If you look at it the right way, you actually can see that they actually tried to set.
it's fine. Like I said, if you're not starting it in the next week,
No.
then it's not gonna be a big difference to you.
No.
I don't have any problem with it.
Possible to move an opening in the rock?
So I don't know if it's just about the fact that it's rocks, it's also fairly steep. So I think, again, we would just prefer just to have something with handrails, steps, the safest thing that we could possibly build, as opposed to something that's more like, slippery rock.
All right, where you get on the walkway and where the rocks are,
Yeah.
how high up is it gonna be? You're gonna be high enough so you go over
So
the
you'll
rocks all the way
walk right
down?
onto the walkway, right? That'll be flat, but then you'll go over the rocks, which then there's a sharp drop there. So the walkway would be, 3-5 feet above the ground, and then we would have a couple of steps and then back onto the ground a little bit closer to the lake.
So in other words, would the walkway be, if you get on it at the high point, straight down like that, or is it gonna
Nope, it
go
would
up
just
and
go
down?
straight, and then as you're past the rocks, we would probably have 3 or 4 steps, and then straight, and then 3 or 4 steps, straight, 3 or 4 steps, and
Got it.
then you'd hit the ground.
Yeah, we're fine. I think that this is fine. I do want to make a recommendation. You do not, with the amount of effort the work that's here, I don't think that you need a silt fence across your entire property line.
Okay.
You can probably just get away with, go to the bottom of where your walkway is going to end. Are you going to be doing any sort of landscaping beyond that? Flattening the ground, putting anything else down to make
No,
it
because
more walkway?
the way that we've sort of have looked at it, by the time we're kind of by that 50 feet, about 30 feet away from the lake, it's actually a really nice gradual.
Got it.
Like, so we don't need to do anything there. It's really just this 130 feet of really steep area by the rock wall that we're just trying to get by.
I have another question. The
Yeah.
composite, is that good in a water situation, water-related? for the long term?
Yeah, I mean, what I've been told by my contractor is that like the
You're talking like Trex?
Trex.
Oh.
The Trex board, yeah.
Withdrawn,
Okay.
composite. I was looking at plywood composite.
Oh,
yeah.
no, the Trex board.
It starts falling apart as soon as you breathe on it. So my suggestion on the silt fence is instead of running instead of going as close to the lake as this seems like it is,
Yep,
go 10 feet off of where the end of your construction is and do a C, like a C around it.
sure.
And this way you only have about, 20 feet of silt fence that you're
Sure.
putting in instead of
If that,
100
yeah.
feet of silt fence.
Fair enough.
You could save some money that way. It's less disturbance near the actual edge, water line. I think prep area is good. I have a couple of things that you'll need to do, on this map.
Okay.
And you'll need to submit that by Monday,
Okay,
to Rose. The first is, on the map, I'll need you to put in a line on here that indicates where the 100-foot buffer is from the lake.
Okay.
So if it is where the rock wall is, you should probably put that on the map too. Rock wall, 100-foot buffer, both, I'm gonna make a note, rock wall should be on the map too. Rock wall. And if they're in the same place, great, make one line and indicate that it's both. The reason we need that is because then you need to tell us exactly from your, using a tape measure or whatever you got, how much passed into the
Right.
100-foot, you're going with that 4 foot by X amount.
right,
We need to know a precise amount on the area of disturbance within the buffer for our files.
yep, okay.
It doesn't change your project plan, it needs to be on this map for completion.
Yep, a little bit more detail,
Yep.
understood.
So that's first thing. Second thing that we'll need, I don't think I saw it on here. And I might have a copy for you, if you're lucky. But if I'm not, you could just get it on Google. That's not it. I'll take a look for it in a moment. You need a silt fence detail. Oh, I do have it. You're lucky. So in order to put your silt fence down, we need to know what kind of silt fence you're doing. What we like is wire-backed silt fencing. It's the standard silt fencing, but not hay bales.
Okay,
So I'm gonna, if you wouldn't mind just putting your initials on that. I'll put that in the file for you,
initials is that?
anywhere, and the date. Today is the 20th, February 20th.
20 of the endless February.
Endless February. Thank you very much. This is going to the file, silt fence detail. 100-foot buffer on map, rock wall on map, and silt fence detail just added. I don't have any other. You good? You good? All right, so with that, let me just explain quickly the process, the application process. You're submitting the application this evening. Once we accept, if we accept the application tonight, it goes on a two-meeting clock, so that's 1 month.
Okay,
And during that time, we notice in the paper that there's a construction project going on in your property. It gives the public a chance on all projects that take place within your water bodies and water courses, gives the public a chance to comment should they wish. I very much doubt that there will be any comments on this. Once the 2 weeks passes, you come back, we say, is there any changes? And you tell us if there's any changes, and if not, we grant you the permit.
okay.
And then you're good to go. You'll have, I think the standard is 2 years or 1 year?
1 year.
Forget, for a
what?
permit. 1 year permit?
I think it's 1 year.
You'll have a year. And if you need to extend it, you can come back and ask.
This
us
is
to
for the
extend it.
construction time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll be, hopefully
Hopefully
we'll
by
be
summer.
quicker than that, yeah.
Just giving you the full details.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. So with that, do I have a motion to accept the application for Jonathan Marino, 118 Lake Drive, for construction of a 50 by 4 foot walkway with the following two conditions, that by Monday, a new map is submitted to the file that includes both the 100-foot buffer as well as the location of the rock wall and the total square footage of disturbance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're on the clock. Please make sure you have this by Monday because Rose advertises on Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Get this stuff back together here. Humpty Dumpty, got a lot of papers all over the place. Was this from the this was from the previous one, right? Yeah. And that, thank you. All right, moving on. We have number 3, Daniel and Allison Brown, 18 Frederick Street, tax map 64.19-1-62, install a shed and replace floating dock. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and who you're here to represent.
Mary Scott, I'm the architect for Dan and Ally Brown.
Good evening, Ms. Scott. Thank you for coming. If you wouldn't mind taking us through your projects and what you're here for.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
So I was here a little over a year ago. We needed a wetlands variance to rebuild the house. And it's almost done. Now we would like to put in a shed and a dock. The shed, we needed a zoning variance for, which we got in December. And it's going to be prefab, brought to the site. There's a picture of it, already constructed. The idea is to set it on blocks in gravel so that no foundation will be put into the ground. The dock, where there was a dock there that was actually broken apart by an ice storm in the 90s, we're proposing to rebuild a new dock, and we needed the New York State Department of General Services, DEC, New York City DEC, Army Corps of Engineers, and they all reviewed it and said we didn't need any permitting from them. So now I'm looking for permitting from you.
Is, in this photograph, is this the dock that's existing now?
No, that's the next door neighbor. So when I was proposing, both
18 Frederick Street.
the shed, so there's a shed, the neighbor on either side
Yeah.
has a shed very close to their property.
Yeah,
The dock would be, see where those yellow words are, out there.
So there's no dock there now?
No, as I say, there was an ice storm in the 90s, the former owner told us, and it broke apart. But we did have the old survey showing where it was, and we're basically putting it in the same location.
So,
And that is also actually being fabricated off-site and brought in. And so the only disturbance there are 2 posts for the walkway to anchor it. And it's going to be removable in the winter.
Is it,
does it looks like
is
that
it
you?
floating dock?
Yeah.
Floating, okay.
It looks like you have this coming 49 feet off the
The shoreline?
shoreline. Is that right?
Property line.
Property line. And how far off
So-
the shoreline is it?
Okay, so the existing, this was the old one. So this was 49 feet off the property line. I'm saying 47 off the property line. It appears that the property line has actually, here they're showing kind of land going out to here. Right now, there's a stone wall. Somebody built a lake wall at some point. And so I was keeping it the same amount out because it's very shallow there. So if you bring a boat in, you need some depth. But in terms of the length from the property, it's actually a little bit less than it was.
Got it. So unfortunately, I have some bad news on this, which is our code, the town code, only allows new docks to be built 25 feet off of the shoreline, max. There are exceptions to zoning, as you have discovered with the shed. And there's also exceptions to docks that are existing right now that were grandfathered in. But docks that are not presently existing and where you need a new construction of the dock, they're not allowed to go more than 25 feet off. That's not an environmental, just to be clear, that's not an environmental code. Like, that's not our technical jurisdiction. However, that is town code, and we have to abide by that as well.
However, you have enough water there to get a boat in safely. In other words, rocks. What's the depth?
Well, that was, my clients went, because they drained the lake, or they brought the level down.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were walking out, over 30 feet,
Yeah.
So their concern is that you couldn't bring a boat in unless it was out
Unless
this far.
a dock was extended out into deeper water.
Right.
You can get a waiver for that.
Through zoning, or how do you do that?
The zoning,
So go back to zoning?
well, you have to go out further because all the rocks, obviously, this one is out much further than 25 feet,
Right.
this one. So,
And,
I know it's pre-existing and all that stuff, but the reality is the dock won't work if you can't get a boat into it.
Fair enough. Yeah,
It
that's
would
not,
be, yeah, so you can
I'm
get
not
a
commenting
waiver.
on whether or not she should be allowed to, especially if there's strictly what the code says.
Yeah, it just says 25 feet.
okay. So, where do I go? Well, I guess we'll talk about the dock first, then the shed. But
Sure.
So in terms of the dock, who do I go to speak to about this?
It's a zoning issue. Talk to,
Rich,
you could talk to Rich,
Or Mike, or,
Mike.
Mike.
is Rich the engineer?
Rich is the engineer,
Yeah,
okay.
Mike is the,
Yeah, building inspector, I've
right.
dealt with him a lot.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
both are very familiar with this.
okay.
They can point you in the right direction.
Rose will tell you, too.
Rose, right, up in the engineering
Spoke to
department.
Rose?
Okay.
You're-
Unfortunately, I just went
I
to
know.
zoning, and now I'd have to do it again.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But at that point, I hadn't heard back from the Army Corps of Engineers. And
I do appreciate
Yeah,
your
no.
due diligence on getting every permit in the book saying you don't need it. That is actually a first. Usually, somebody forgets one of them, and I very much appreciate your thoroughness on that. And I read through them all, so just for the record as well, you did get, it was Army Corps.
There were 5.
Yeah, Department of Environmental Conservation, Department of Environmental Protection, New York City. You had the
DEC, New
Department
York
of
State, New York City,
State.
General
DEC,
Services.
General
DEP,
Services.
Yeah, right.
So, and all of them said, no problem, which is great. So, because it would be much harder if you had to go through any of them. So you're, with the dock, that's your recourse, is you'll have to talk and find out,
Okay.
one, if you can get a variance. I'm not familiar myself on the actual variance process with regards to docks, so
Okay.
not the most knowledgeable to ask. However, there's plenty of people in this building here who
Right.
can during normal business hours.
Okay.
With regards to the shed, so one last thing on the dock here. Can you describe, this was gonna be a floating dock with piles, with a
2
galvanized?
piles on the ground.
Nothing in the lake bed?
No, it's
Oh,
all
all right.
floated, and, we propose to put
Turbidity curtain?
the booms around it when you build it.
Yep.
So,
Not sure if that's
when you
necessary.
deliver it.
You don't
Deliver
need
it.
Oh,
I'm not sure it's necessary
Okay.
if you're not doing any actual construction in the lake bed.
no,
Which would save some money because booms can be very expensive.
Okay.
As long as you're protecting the water, debris and water from getting in when you're doing any construction on the actual land, or
Yeah.
were you planning on doing any work on the bulkhead that's there, the existing rock wall
no,
bulkhead?
that's in good shape.
Okay,
That's in good shape. I mean, we're basically talking about 2 steel
posts.
piles.
Yep.
Yeah, that are.
driven in by hand?
Yeah,
Got it. All right. I don't have any, this is fine. People normally put in floating docks without any issue. Very, very little disturbance to the lake. A couple of piles is not a big deal. Shed. So it's going on, tell us a little bit about what the shed was.
so,
gonna be on.
the idea was not to do any excavation, basically put down gravel and posts and have it sit, or blocks, and have it sit on that so that, if there's water that came off, it would basically go into the gravel and underneath, it's 80 square feet. I mean, we did put in a rain garden for the work on the house, which is in now. We tried to get it inspected, and then the weather just,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but it's done, it's there.
Can you remind us, the rain garden that's there, how is that connected? Is that connected to the leaders from the house?
Yeah, they come down, they're all connected.
Awesome.
So that was all part of, so I had actually called for an inspection in December, because we had finished and because our permit was up January 18th. But because of Christmas, weather, Rich had a death in the family, whatever, that it never happened. So what Rose said was, they're gonna have to, wetlands will have to come back, they'll have to do an inspection for this project, so let's just wait and they can, Rich said he could do it all at once.
Okay. How far from the lake shore is the,
19 feet.
19 feet.
Yeah, so, the variance was for, originally we applied for 2 feet from the side, 2 feet from the back, and you can see the next door neighbor's shed is very close.
yeah,
Sort of in the process of the meeting, we said we'd do it 4 feet from the side, but 2 feet from the back because we actually have 19 feet to the end of that wall.
Okay.
So it's, in effect, it's 19 feet from the water line.
how big of a pad are you going to be, putting in?
It's 80 feet. It's.
The exact footprint of that?
Yeah, it's 10 by 8.
Do we want it to be an extra foot out on the two sides where the water's gonna be sheeting off?
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, we figured to bring the gravel out, so any water that came off the,
That's what I mean, so the
The
pad is
roof.
gonna be a bit bigger than the
yeah, but I
square
mean, it's a
footage.
pad of gravel. It's not a concrete pad,
Right, I got it.
so.
You almost like a step up.
No.
Well,
In the
I
ground,
mean,
right?
You're gonna have it
even
up
if it's 6
at the
inches or
surface?
so, it's just to flatten it out,
Are you
make
going
it
to be
level.
putting any sort of, border around it, wood or anything?
We did not intend to.
Okay,
We were just gonna try and keep it as low-key as possible, have it sit on the gravel, have the water go on the gravel and underneath.
how thick a pad?
I think normally they put 8 to 10 inches of gravel, something like that.
And
or
you're gonna
there's
put
some-
the blocks right on top of the gravel, or are they
Well,
gonna be
they
buried?
kind of bury it in, is what I understand from, this is from Best in Backyards.
Yep.
I mean, I can verify that.
Okay, do you know if it's gonna be, I assume it's gonna be probably raised up a couple of inches off the ground.
Oh, for sure, I mean,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not
That's
gonna
what
be
they
on the,
usually do.
right on the ground, I mean, we don't want it.
Yeah, we can add termites to that.
80 square feet, that's 40 square feet per side sheeting off of there during a rain. They already have a rain garden on property, it's 20 feet from the edge, I don't think it requires any mitigation, what do you think?
No.
As long as, I do think that you should put in here, though, that the pitch sides, you should have 1 to 2 feet of gravel on each
Beyond
of
it.
those sides, so I'd like a note on that.
No problem.
Let's say 2 feet. 2 feet extra.
You're gonna have to indicate how far out it's going to go, the dock.
The dock, okay.
If you're going for the variance so that you have enough water for the boat.
Yeah, I mean, I have
Now,
it,
the boat-
now, I have it, back to the property line, but I could take it to the shoreline.
Yeah,
The problem is the shoreline at that point.
so the boat will go here or here.
Right,
Yeah, okay. Fine. Because I was looking at this, that's the old one that doesn't exist.
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would it make sense to have, not right now, but somebody go out there and kind of do depths and let us know exactly?
We
Where
don't
we're-
have anybody do that.
No, I don't mean from town, even like, the dock guy, we could get to, although now the water's still down, I think.
You could walk out on the other dock maybe and get an idea.
Well, that's
Is the
true,
water
actually, we
level
could go on the
down?
neighbor's dock.
Yeah. The water level, make sure you can see if there's any rocks.
Mm-hmm.
What is the water level now? They're draining the lake down?
It was, yeah, I mean, the last time I was there, which was probably a month ago, it was very low. You could walk out from this wall
Yeah.
20 feet or so. I mean, it was just all
Well, hell,
rocks.
you can probably do that now without anything at the point where you want to put it in and see.
See where we're
what-
at.
Yeah, how far
Okay.
out you need to go, yeah.
Put on my waders.
You don't have I didn't know if I saw a secrets of construction, did you have one in here?
I did not.
Okay, so we will need that. Construction,
And what's the materials? It's floating and it's going to be what, on top of the
It's a,
Trex?
like a Trex, yeah.
Okay.
composite.
Also called composite.
A composite.
Do you have that
There's a lot
anywhere
of
in your
composites
plans, what the
around.
materials are for the actual
Is it in the written
prefabricated
description?
off-site polyurethane foam, but not, it doesn't say the materials.
Okay, I can put that in.
Materials of deck. And the shed is constructed out of, is it wood or is it composite as well?
It's wood.
Got it. All right. So I noted that this is an 8x10 shed, so we would be looking for a 10x10 gravel pad.
Okay.
All right. Off-site, what did I say? Sequence of construction, materials of the deck, type. You're not, it's normal, you're putting in normal like crushed bluestone or something or crushed stone as the gravel type, right? You're not, no compacting gravel?
No.
Okay.
No.
Like item 4 or anything like that?
No.
All right. I don't know if I don't think I have any other questions. Unfortunately, we won't be able to accept this tonight, but I can give you my notes that I have on here. Because of the dock, we need to know what's gonna be happening with that dock.
Okay, so you want to keep it both together as opposed to giving us one and then, well, I guess we might as well keep it both together, hopefully. I can get the dock.
Variance.
Figured
yeah.
out.
If the dock can't be figured out, you can come back before us and submit it minus the dock, and I have no problem with that shed itself. You're not doing, weren't planning to do it until the spring, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so a few things, just for the record here. Variance would be needed for the 47 feet off the shoreline for the dock that's there. It's currently listed at 80 square feet of new disturbance within the buffer of the, for the shed itself. We'd be looking for 2 feet of extra gravel from the footprint of the shed on the roof pitch side, so that would be a 10x10 gravel pad. We will need a sequence of construction for both how you intend to get the shed down here, as well as the construction of the pad, and the sequence of construction for installing any dock, whatever dock is chosen in the future with any variance.
Okay.
And then finally, we will need a note about what the deck materials are.
Okay. So, the only issue is going to be getting on the next zoning agenda and the time that's going to take, so how that holds
Zoning
me up.
meets twice a-
Monthly? I
Yeah,
think it's
is it
No,
monthly?
I think
once
it's
a month.
monthly, yeah.
So that's coming
Planning
up
is
quick.
monthly.
That's coming up quick, the zoning then, because we're coming to the end of February. I
Yeah,
know it's the
so-
February that never ends, but.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I'll talk to the client, if they should decide they want to go ahead with, separate them out because of the timing,
Mhm.
and so they can get the shed in sooner,
Mhm.
is that okay that I can come back the next
Absolutely.
time?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
for the shed, and I'll
Yep.
let Rose
Want to
know?
break it
All
out?
you gotta do is, let Rose know, she can cross off the part that says you're gonna be building, or you should probably submit a new one of these, a
Okay.
cover sheet,
Yep.
indicating that, exactly what the project plan is, cross off the dock part, and we can move forward with it, sure.
Okay. And the next meeting that I could
2 weeks.
come, would it be 2 weeks or 4 weeks? Like 2 meetings?
No.
Wouldn't it be?
No, our
If they're
next
gonna-
meeting is in 2 weeks, so that is March 6th is our next meeting.
Okay, but in terms of don't you have to do the newspaper thing or something?
Right, so March 6th, you'd come if you want us to do that application. We say,
Okay.
looks good, and then we would have to wait until March 6th, so the 20th, so then we'd wait until April 3rd, we'd grant the application, if everything went well.
Okay. I will figure it out.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
You're very welcome. All right, we're moving on to number 4 this evening. This is NYC DEP West Branch, address 302 Drewville Road, tax map 66-2-4, tree cutting permit waiver requests. Welcome, if you don't mind stating your name and who you're here to represent.
Hi, I'm Kate O'Connor, representing New York City DEP, watershed forester, and this is Amanda Locke, regional forester.
Good evening. Thank you for coming this evening. What can we do for you?
Well, we're here to request a waiver for tree cutting under the Town Code, Section 142.8B. I believe we meet the requirements for a waiver. This is a small project located in the town of Carmel. It's a research study. We're looking to investigate whether silvicultural crown release thinnings can improve tree crown health and vigor for hemlocks infested with hemlock woolly adelgid. Our project is based on a study that was recently published out of the Southeast. DEP is really interested in maintaining hemlock health. It serves a critical role in maintaining water quality, and we have 25,000 acres of hemlock forest across our watershed. So this is a small study that hopefully would have larger application if we get good results. In the submittal package is a map of the project area. It's 31 acres. The study trees are marked with 22 study trees and 50 removal trees. Again, very small, and I believe it meets the requirements for the permit waiver. Other aspects of the project, all the trees for removal would be cut by DEP staff with chainsaws, so there's no heavy equipment. We won't be doing any removals, so we won't need to use or create skid trails or landings. We would not remove trees within 10 feet of the stream bank. There should be no impacts to wetlands, watercourses, stream. And as far as visual impact goes, the study trees are not visible from residences, roads, or the rail trail, so we don't expect any negative impacts to the residents in Carmel. I'd also like to just say that the forest in the study area and surrounding is already heavily impacted by introduced forest pests and pathogens. So anything that we can do in this area to maintain species diversity and resilience is for the best. So that is the project description. The methods were also included in the packet that I sent along. So if there are any questions about any of that, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you for going through that. I do have a couple of questions. First one, is this location, why did you choose this location, especially with the amount of forest land that you have?
We have a lot of forest land. I am a forester for east of Hudson. We actually don't have a lot of hemlock forest east of Hudson. Most of our hemlock forest occurs west of Hudson. So this was a stand that had the hemlock composition in terms of structure and density and crown health that meets the requirements of the remaining stands that we do have east of Hudson. Most did not meet the health criteria. The trees are already dead or declining.
So what is the nature of the study itself? You're going to be cutting down 50 trees. There's 20 that you're going to be monitoring. Is the intention to, like a thinning? You're
Correct.
thinning them out?
Yeah, it's a crown release thinning to confer benefits to the trees that we're releasing. So the hemlocks are the trees impacted by the pests. This other study out of the Southeast has shown that by thinning the trees around it and allowing more light and nutrient resources to reach the hemlocks, they in turn have better crown vigor and shown pest resistance. And actually, it's not clear in the study whether it's, the tree having increased resistance or some impact, change in the microclimate as a result of the thinning that's impacting the pest density, but that it was shown that the thinning did suppress the pest density.
The trees, go ahead.
Just to add something quickly, it's not a traditional forest thinning where you go through and remove trees sort of throughout the area. This is specifically thinning around the study trees. So it's just removing trees around the study trees. It's not thinning throughout the 31 acres.
Got it, thank you.
Yep.
The types of trees that are being removed, do you have a list of them?
Yes, I included in my submission a count by species, and you'll notice that the majority of the trees to be removed are hemlock, beech, and black birch. So beech in that stand is rapidly declining due to beech leaf disease. We're losing trees. We might not have to cut them. They might be dead already. Hemlock obviously impacted not only by hemlock woolly adelgid and elongate hemlock scale, but the drought this fall did not help them. We had an outbreak of hemlock borer as well. So those trees are already declining, and then black birch, which we have no shortage of, is the third most common stem to be removed. I did try to select trees for removal that were of lesser vigor or quality where I could.
Got it. Another question is, why are you seeking the waiver instead of going through what's the necessity of getting the waiver of the tree cutting versus actually getting one?
It's a small project, and if it meets the requirements for the waiver and we can get it done, that is preferable to going through the permit process.
When are you planning on doing this?
Well, we would like to get it done before the end of March with the bat window.
What kind of pests are you looking for?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the hemlock woolly adelgid is an introduced forest pest, and as is the elongate hemlock scale. They're both native to Asia, and they have been causing widespread hemlock mortality throughout the East, on DEP land as well as elsewhere.
You have anything? It's, just for the record as well, I believe I saw it's 1.6 trees per acre, the density of the removal.
Correct.
Cool, all right.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's very little. All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, can you do anything about the birch trees?
The birch trees?
Are you for
Leaf
them or
disease.
against them? Oh, the
We're
disease.
for
Oh.
them, but there's some kind of new cootie that's attacking them. And I looked into my property, and, yeah. In May, they want to do a spray.
The beech trees.
Is
Yeah,
it
for a
beech?
mere $3,000, that maybe won't work.
It probably will.
Oh, I hope so.
No, it probably will, if you're, sorry. If you have somebody who's recommending that you treat your beech trees with something called Luna Experience or Luna Sensation, both of those will probably be effective at controlling the nematode that causes beech leaf disease, and it will probably save your beech trees. But they will have to treat them twice, in the spring and then again in August, and you will probably have to keep doing it for a number of years, because right now that pest has just showed up, and it's going through and it is decimating the beech population. And it's unknown when it will stop, or how quickly it will go through, or how long the protection will last for that treatment. So just be sure that you really want to protect those trees. Because it's not cheap.
Right.
Fair. That's fair. All right, do you have any other questions?
Nope.
I'm fine with the waiver. You good with the waiver?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to grant a waiver for a tree cutting permit to the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, West Branch, 302 Drewville Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You have
Thank
a
you.
waiver. Good luck. I wish you the best
Yeah.
in your experiment
Thank you.
Endeavors.
for all of us.
Yes.
Yes. All right, let's see. I think that brings us to the last thing this evening, minutes. So, who can do this? Absent. Can't do that one, can do this one, and can't do that one. So, with that, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of 12/19/24?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the other two we will have to wait. I think that concludes this evening. Everything good? Everything
Yep.
good? All right, with that,
Fabulous.
fabulous. With that, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Safe drives if you're driving out in this weather.
And walking.
And walking, yes.